What's going on? Psych Perspectives here. GeoFucks in the building. And I just want to talk about this and be very blunt, straight to the point. And disclaimer, granted, this is not everybody's story. This is not everybody's experience. However, there's a large population of young folks. And it isn't just millennials. It's not just Gen Z. There are Gen Xers who are also dealing with the same issues and have been dealing with the same issues for years. It's just that their voices have been literally muffled and silenced a lot of times because they're between the baby boomers and the millennials. Okay, now I can't speak for Gen Xers. I can't speak for Gen Zs. I can only speak as a millennial. And I'm only one millennial, so I can't speak for the entire generation. I can only speak of my experiences as a millennial growing up in the United States of America, and what I have experienced when it comes to college, education, degrees, the job market, etc. So I made a video a couple of weeks ago where I was, basically like, so Dr. Umar, how come you can't just show us your transcripts, your college transcripts, and your degrees that you claim to have received? Okay, so I've already did a video discussing my education and where my education and knowledge comes from. All right, so to reiterate, I have 2 associate's degrees, a bachelor's degree, and a master's degree. I have 4 college degrees, okay? However, who gives a damn? Because this is why, as a millennial, to me, college has really just been a scam. And it really isn't all cracked up to be what it is. It's something that was literally, and I'm just gonna, from my experience, I feel like college was forced upon us. Like, I remember being in 3rd grade and them constantly talking about 2010. And mind you, 3rd grade for me was 2000 to 2001. So we're in 3rd grade, 8 years old, and they're literally talking, well, in 2010. And I remember thinking, like, what the hell is 2010? 2010 is the year I graduated from high school. So as early as 3rd grade, the indoctrination of going to college was already being set in stone. You're just now getting your feet wet in elementary, and they're already telling you you're going to college. And as time went on, I would often hear, and I know there are other people who can relate to this, they would use classist remarks and derogatory statements, condescending statements against people who worked in fast food, who worked in the fast food industry. And they would literally say, well, if you don't want to work at McDonald's flipping burgers, you need to go to college. And that's very classist and also wrong, because a lot of us still ended up flipping burgers. We still ended up in the food industry. We still ended up working in jobs that pay poverty, even with our so-called fancy degrees and pieces of paper. Okay, so all of this indoctrination, okay, and then nobody was really, and that's another thing, and I think this has a lot to do with your social economics and your identities, your backgrounds, okay, the multiple identities that make you you. I think a lot of this has to do with what we're able to achieve, what resources we get, what opportunities come our way, what type of support we get, what type of support we don't get, So for me, when I look at my college experience, I basically had to navigate college on my own, right? Because my mom, for a lack of a better term, was a deadbeat, is a deadbeat. My father, a deadbeat. So I didn't have mommy and daddy to go back and be like, well, should I be taking these classes? Or I couldn't even get my mom to provide her tax information so I could even sign up for financial aid. Keep that in mind, right? So I'm gonna do more videos talking about toxic ass black mothers and fathers and parental figures, because that's something that we don't talk about enough. And it ain't just black men out here who are deadbeats. You have black women, you have black mothers who are just as much as deadbeats as these black men, okay? I'm just gonna call it out. But anyways, so I had to navigate the university experience on my own. I'm sitting up here, I'll never forget, I was privileged and blessed and lucky enough to get a full ride scholarship to a community college that allowed me to get my first 2 degrees free of charge, okay? And yes, I'm privileged and lucky and blessed, but on the flip side, I had to have good grades. I had to work my ass off to have a decent GPA in order to be eligible. And then with this particular scholarship, not only did you have to have a 3.5 or higher cumulative GPA in high school, but you also had to have leadership roles in student organizations, clubs, etc. Because it was a leadership scholarship and it was an actual scholarship. So it was a combination of things that you had to achieve to even be considered eligible for the actual scholarship. So yes, I'm privileged, but I also worked my ass off because I get tired of this, and I'm going to call it what it is, this white liberal terminology. Oh, you're privileged. Oh, you're this. And don't get me wrong. Yes, people have privileges. I have privileges. But don't sit up here and try to make it seem like we haven't had to work for any of the things that we've achieved. Because that's another issue anyway, that's another video coming. So, after I finished my 2 associate's degrees, this was in 2012, May 2012, I spent the whole summer looking for a job. And I'm applying and applying and applying and applying. And you're on Career Builders, you're on Monster, you're on Indeed, you're going to companies' websites and businesses' websites to put in your application. You know how it is. You got the 200 questionnaire and all that other stupid shit. You're sending in your resume and still having to answer questions about your work history. You know how it is. Okay, you're getting letters of, references and all this other stuff. I was applying and applying and applying and did not get a job. So, September of 2012 rolls around. Guess who's back in college? Because I was like, well, I got to finish my bachelor's degree. I only had 2 more years to go because I had already did it at the junior college. Transferred over to an extension of a bigger state public college. And I had partial scholarships, but it didn't cover everything. So I still ended up going roughly $13,000 in debt for my bachelor's degree, which in comparison is not bad at all, which I paid that off, I made the mistake, and mind you, even after I got my bachelor's degree, the job market, this was 2014, so now it's May 2014, and I was applying, and guess what I ended up doing the summer of 2014 after graduating with my bachelor's? And at that time, I was 21 with 3 college degrees. I was a custodian at the university that I attended, making $7.40 an hour with 3 college degrees, and that was 5 years ago. So I'm just putting this out here to try to give people my experience, and then also to show folks that, yeah, getting an education is cool and all, but it's not worth going into debt. I'm sorry, it's not, because the vast majority of us are not making the money we're supposed to be making with our education. And we're in massive student loan debt. So if I could go back in time, after my associates, I would have been like, deuces, because this is a waste of time. This is a waste of time, this is a waste of money, this is a waste of energy. If I could go back to 2012 right now, I would be like, you know what? Let's just go into the Air Force, or let's just go and work somewhere. Okay, let's focus on your actual dreams instead of chasing after these pieces of paper that you can't even wipe your ass with. Okay? Alright, there's going to be a part 2 to this. Stay tuned.